Is New Zealand heading down the road to socialism because of the Covid-19 crisis? Is the Labour-led government using the crisis to further its aims to create a socialist society in New Zealand? What are the steps to creating a socialist society, and has this already started? How can we put a stop to this, or are the sheeple just going to be steered down the path of socialism until it is too late to resist? These and other similar questions I will comment on, but please help this channel by giving this video a like. Every like will help the YouTube algorithm. Thank you in anticipation. For a socialist state to be formed and accepted, there is a need for several preconditions. Has Ms. Ardern taken the early steps to having her dream of a socialist New Zealand come true? There has been listed some 8 factors that must be in place before any government can create a socialist society. These are, and not in any order of importance: government-controlled healthcare, increase poverty levels as high as is possible, increase debt to unsustainable levels, disarm the population, take total control of all welfare, take control of the education of the young, remove any religious beliefs, and create class envy. I believe that there may not be a deliberate attempt to establish a social regime in New Zealand, but the effects of what is happening is that such a state of affairs may be the end result. During the 2017 election campaign, just after Ms. Ardern was elected as the leader of the Labour Party, a YouTube video of her addressing a socialist rally was promoted. During this address it became very clear that she was, and probably still is, a communist at heart, and all her policies must be looked at with that possibility in the background. So what has been achieved over the last few years with Ms. Ardern as our Prime Minister? One of her great promises was that she was going to reduce the number of children in abject poverty by, I think, some 30%. Has that happened? And remember, she has had nearly 3 years to show some real progress. According to some recent statistics that I have seen, the result has been nothing like that. In one I saw, there was a 1.6% reduction in the numbers, but that was within the margin of error. Accordingly, there has been no real reduction, and this with massive increases in benefits and the Working for Families tax credits. It is therefore obvious to all but socialists that the way to decrease poverty is not by raising benefits, but by increasing the number of people in worthwhile work. It not only means that the cash resources are better for those working, but the sense of well-being, another of the PM's catchphrases, is greater. The government can never beat the private sector at providing worthwhile jobs. Just look at all the socialist countries around the world and their rates of real unemployment. We have a socialist healthcare system at present in that it is controlled by the government and paid for by taxes. It is in no way responsible directly to the patients. This, plus the very bureaucratic district health board system of control, is pure socialism. The education system in New Zealand is also basically socialist, in that the government and the teacher unions run the schools, and this is not always to the benefit of its customers, the parents of the kids being taught. The best way to replace this system is to fund the schools with vouchers, whereby the funds follow the child. Therefore, parents can choose the school that suits their preferences, and not just accept that the government and the teachers know better than they do. At present, our kids are taught what the government wants, and not necessarily what they need to be taught. The global warming scam is an example. The next essential to creating a socialist state is to disarm the population, so that only one side of the argument has weapons to enforce their rules. This was started after the Christchurch massacre, which, although serious, was only one mad Australian, and not the generally law-abiding citizenry of New Zealand. Take advantage of a crisis to further your ulterior aims. One of the more sinister moves by the government is the division of the population according to their wealth. Create a situation whereby the poorer in society are envious of the wealthier, and use that to enhance your left-leaning agenda to increase the tax on the wealthy. An example of this is the now defunct capital gains tax, although the government will, in my opinion, use the current health scare and the resultant debt crisis to rejuvenate that tax on the so-called rich pricks. The next thing needed is to create a situation of extreme debt that cannot be sustainable. Then use this debt to justify the increases in the rates of tax and also the scope of those taxes. This will not decrease the debt, but only advance the left's ideas of it being necessary for the government to supply most of the population's needs to survive. And rest assured, it will only be at survival rates for the general population, as if you make them too rich, they will see through your scams and resist. Keep them on the leash and they will all continue to follow just fine. I am sure the government and Ms Ardern did not start this crisis. However, they will certainly make the most of it to further their aims of a socialist New Zealand. Where is the saner voice in this coalition of losers? Where is Winston Peters and New Zealand First? Or are they just the same and want government control of everything? It is certainly true that there needs to be voices out there opposing these measures. Without the free markets, we will never be able to repay the massive debt that is currently being racked up. Without capitalism and the innovations that stem from that, we will spiral ever downwards into one crisis after another. Freedom once gained must be fought for over and over again, or it will be lost. So please keep an eye on the government, or they will be keeping an eye on you. The civil liberties we have lost in this crisis must be returned as soon as possible. I thought, if there is a spike in the birth rate 9 months after this lockdown, the government will know who to come after for not obeying their social distancing rules properly. Be safe, be careful, and let's all get through this with our freedoms intact, and not into socialism with little or no freedom. That is the end of this video. If you would like to comment, both positive and negative, feel free, as it is good to have a two-way conversation. Remember to hit the like button, as that will help the YouTube algorithms. Any comments you wish to make may give me ideas for future commentary. Please share this video with your friends and family. If you wish to subscribe, then push the relevant buttons, including the little bell. Then you will find out when I upload a new video. Just use the appropriate buttons. Thanks for watching Captain Cookie's commentary, and we will see you next time.